In this episode, we are going to learn about the scenes in Arcade. So go to the documentation and click on the API reference again, and here you will find the sprite scenes. Click on this one, and here is the scene class we are going to use in this video. So let's read about the arcade.scene class. And it stores sprite list instances as named layers, allowing bulk updates and drawing. So simply put, you can have multiple scenes. Each scene can have its own level, for example, its own logic and so on, and you can switch between scenes. What we are going to do in this one is, I already prepared 3 scenes in Tile Editor, and so 3 maps. Technically a scene is a map or a level. So this will be the first level, and I created this level 2.tmx and also this level 3.tmx. So this will be the 3 levels or 3 scenes what we are going to load and also switch between these scenes. So here in the project, in the PyCharm project, I already copied the 3 level files. So here in the assets folder I created this maps folder. Instead of using this level 1, I just created this scenes folder, and under this scenes folder I copied the 3 TMX files, so the level 1, level 2 and level 3, and also the industrial.tsx and of course Kenny's platformer pack PNG file. And now we are going to load these levels as scenes. And of course I already created this resource handler which points to the assets directory. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is create a separate game scene class, and this will inherit from arcade.scene. And also let's create the init method for it, and don't forget to call the superclasses, so arcade.scene init method. Okay, arcade.scene has some useful methods you can use. Just open the source code by middle clicking on the scene and you will find methods. So for example, you can create a scene with this method from tilemap, giving it a tilemap. You can get the sprite lists, you can add sprites and also add sprite lists. The 2 methods we are going to use from this scene class is the update method, and we are also going to use the draw method. Okay, so here in the game scene class, let's override the draw method from the arcade.scene. So def draw, and this takes names, filter, pixelated and blend function parameters, and it returns none, and I'm just going to add to its body a pass for now. And let's do this also for the update method. So def update, and this takes the delta time and also names which is the sprite list layer names. And this returns also none, and just give it a pass for now. Now that we have this game scene class, let's create an instance from it here in the game view. But before I create an instance, I want to load first the game map. So I'm just going to call it game level using the arcade.load tilemap, and it is in the my assets resource, maps, scenes and level 1.tmx. And now let's create a scene from this map file or tilemap file. And I'm just going to call it self.scene using the game scene that from tilemap and giving it the game level. So this from tilemap comes from arcade.scene class. And this returns a scene object. What we can now do is just draw this scene. So here in the onDraw method in the GameView class, I'm just going to call the self.scene.draw. And every sprite and sprite list which has been added to this scene object will be drawn. Let me try it, although I think it will be still black, of course, because here if we scroll up to the game scene class and in the draw method, I just added here pass, but what we should do is just call the super.draw. And now if I run it, now we see our scene. And also don't forget, if you will use the update method, that you have also called here the super .update and giving it the delta time, of course. Okay, so let's go back to the game view, and now let's do some scene switching. So now we only see this one scene, and I want to switch the scenes when I press the N button. But before we continue, just don't forget, if you want to update the scene, you can also call here in the game view the onUpdate method, and in the onUpdate method you can call the cell.scene.update and giving it the delta time. So this will call this method in the game scene class. Okay, now let's add this scene switching. For that, I'm just going to create a new method inside the game view, and I'm just going to call it load next scene. And here I'm just going to move these two lines into this method. So here will happen the game scene switching. But also I'm going to create 3 properties. First will be the cell.scene, and this will start as none, and the cell.scene index, and this will be level 1, level 2, level 3. So index starts with 1, level 1. And we have 3 levels, so number of scenes equals 3. And also don't forget here, just call this method we have just created, so cell.load next scene. And now instead of loading this as level 1.tmx, I'm just going to load it as an f string, and here just pass this scene index. So level and scene index, so this will be level 1, level 2, level 3. We should also increase the scene index after we loaded the scene, so cell.scene index plus equals 1. And here we're creating the scene, and also we should just reset this scene index, so if it is over 3, this should be reset to 1, because we have only 3 scenes. So if cell.scene index is bigger than number of scenes, I'm just going to reset its value to 1 again. Okay, and the very last thing is we are going to add an event, an onKeyPress event. So def onKeyPress, and this takes the symbols and the modifiers, and here I'm just going to ask if the symbol is arcade.keyN and the cell.scene is completed. Of course, I have to add this property also to the scene class, and I'm just going to set it by default to true. Of course, this should be set by default to false, and it should be only set to true when the current level or the current scene is already completed. And here in the onKeyPress, we are just going to ask if we press the N key and the scene is already completed, we are just going to load the next scene. So using our method we just created here. And now let's try it. So this is the level 1. If I press the N key, it loads the next scene or the next level, and if I press the N key, it loads the 3rd level. So we have created a very simple scene switching or level switching functionality. And now if I press again, the scene counter or the scene index will be set to 1, so it will load level 1 or scene 1 again.